there we have it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to VIP After Hours. Glad to have you. If you're new to this show, what we do is we get as many people from the black gold trading community as we can, and we hang out. We talk a bit about our week trading, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then we normally go over a topic or two, which is relevant to getting better as traders and as people pursuing financial freedom. Obviously, myself, son. You guys probably know Josh. Tara, you might not know. Tara's we're glad to have you. And I think most people have probably met John at this point. John's the unofficial father of Black Gold. He's a Black Gold father. But yeah, looks like we got a good group of people. If you guys want to say hey, there's a chat, and we can see your responses. Throw them up on the screen. We got the Richmond Webb on. What's up, buddy? We are in the midst of celebrities. So yeah, guys, I'm curious. How was the week? I'll probably pick on I'll go Josh, Tara, then John. How was the week? I did not get to trade, so I'm actually really curious on the actual trading week. How was it for you, Josh?
I had a pretty good trading week, actually. You saw a little bit of it when we were sitting at the cigar lounge the other day, but
Yeah,
I've been finding a couple opportunities with these all-time highs. Ended up around 12K on the week, so a couple more payouts, building up a little bit of a stronger buffer on them. So, and I can't complain one bit.
Well, I mean, dude, just you said what 12K for the week?
Indeed.
It, I know it's kind of like hey, no big deal, but in the real world, Josh, which I know we don't live in the real world. In the real world, like that's a big deal. Like, that's 48 grand in a month if you're able to apples duplicate that, which
Mm,
is hard to do, but I mean that's good money, man. Can I get a loan?
absolutely not.
Yeah. What I mean, anything challenging about the week? Anything difficult? I know we had, what was it, FOMC, or was that this week? Yeah,
Yeah, we
Wednesday.
had see. Um, I mean, all-time highs in general are, I think, a little bit more challenging, just across the board. You don't really have as much to look left for. You don't really know exactly what the market wants to push towards, and you, I'm hesitant to ever expect continuation or the pump. So I led off the week with all of our members saying, "Hey, first and foremost, our world is crazy right now. There's some massive stuff going on. Number two, we're at all-time highs. It's probably good to be a little bit more conservative this week. Maybe lower your position sizing. It was a really good exercise of patience. I think we had a couple mornings that we just said, "Hey, we're sitting out." So that's something that's a little bit more challenging for someone newer to trading when they have that trading title by their name. It feels like you have to click the button to be proactive.
Oh, if I don't trade every single day, then I'm not legitimate.
Mhm.
I mean, I noticed. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but I noticed at minimum there was at least like two evening trades we didn't take. Uh, Tara, you do a little bit more of the London stuff. I know there was some London trades we didn't take, and then wasn't there like a couple New Yorks that we didn't take as well?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, there was two New York ones this week we didn't take, and I think there was two or three London ones that I didn't take because I woke up and I learned my lesson from checking my data that if it's a small box with low volume, I go back to bed.
It's just not it's not a bad rule. But while we're on it, Tara, how about you? Good week, bad week, medium week?
Um, I would say this is my like eighth week in this strategy, so it was kind of an even week once I got my data
Mhm.
out and started changing things up and not trading small boxes, then I was doing better than before. So that's actually really what I like about it is you have the numbers and things like that you can really see where you are and what's working and what's not, and then pivot on the fly and make it work to your schedule.
It's the name of the game. John, you've been here a little bit longer than 8 weeks or whatever, but how about you, man? Good week, bad week, neutral week?
I put money in my checking account this week.
That's been a good week.
Like
Heck
not
yeah.
just in theory, like in the checking account. And it paid for my golf trip upcoming. So
Let's
there's
go.
that. So it wasn't 12K. I'm a little bit newer, but I'm getting there. I'm right behind you, Josh. So
That was the first one to hit the bank, though, wasn't it?
yeah. So I built it up so I didn't have to take a fee.
Yeah. Well,
Long
first
story
one to hit
short.
the bank feels pretty damn good, my friend. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And on a Friday, right into the weekend, right? So
Yep. Perfect time to go to the casino and double it on black.
no. You know what I'm gonna do with it actually? I'm gonna go buy gold.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There
That's
you
what my
go.
business plan says. So I'm going to buy myself some digital gold that you can do 24/7. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, it's a good week for me just emotionally because of that. But
Heck yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like I lost out a little bit, but I think that emotion is like not good. That's like the enemy of what we do is like feeling it's FOMO. It's literally like, man, I feel like I missed out. Especially like we mentioned that we sat out, a handful of different sessions. I think the natural emotion is well, I sat out the last session, I'm gonna make up for it. There's no such thing as make up for it. The market doesn't work like that. The market doesn't care if you skipped a session. The market doesn't care if you're having a good day or a bad day. It's going to do whatever it wants to do. So if you come into it with that emotion or that mindset of it's like I got to make up for not even a loss, but just for like not trading, not good,
Mhm.
not good at all.
But you didn't get to trade much this week, right? Running the challenge.
No, yeah. So like I got a couple. I mean, like I still did. I made like a grand on the evening sessions, and again there was a couple that we sat out on, but I made about $1,000 on the evening sessions. I had most of the profit was in one session, then a couple $100 here and there, but I missed every single New York session this week. Wow, 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 wow.
well, I
I
made
know.
this note because I wanted to remember. So when you were mentioning earlier, and the note I wrote down was billable hours. And
Hmm.
I think we're also like trained that you get paid by the hour. If you're not working, you're not getting paid, right? Or if you're contract, you got to work to get paid, and it's almost like this is a little different. Like Tara said, like I get up, then I go back to bed. It feels like you're not doing anything, but really you're done. It's weird, yeah, because our society it just isn't set up that way. Our psychology isn't that way, right? So
I still count my zeros as actual winners. Like, if I
Yeah.
can have a zero, it's still a win. It's not a red. It's not a loss. It just means that I saved myself for the next day.
Break even days are winning days.
Hmm.
I looked at because I'm always curious about like the different sessions in the markets, and I looked at a lot of the London trades and some of the Asian trades. The ones that we skipped, almost all of them ended up being losses. Now there was a couple that we would have won, but just let's just take $250 as an example. Three or four of the ones that we sat out would have lost. So by somebody taking those and not having the self control, they would have been down $750,000 on the week. Well, that makes it now you really feel behind and you really feel like you have to make up. So
yeah, wasn't
that's
that one? Was that one of the things you came up with, Tara, this week or this month?
I
Like, what
I
was the
did.
saying on that?
Hmm.
That was my homework for this week
Yeah.
was to go back and look at all of the London sessions that I lost that were the small boxes under 100 ticks, and I would be up an extra $1,000 if I would have just not taken those trades. So that's when I learned this week that that's enough data for me to like one get some extra sleep, but two not have to take the losses and preserve the capital.
what is this sleep you talk about? Like, you
Never met.
obviously you haven't met my son Wesley. He's 2.5 years old. Like Wesley's. You guys ever heard of like a crack baby or like a? You guys ever heard of a crack baby? Now, I know that my wife is not a crackhead, but we have a crack baby that does not understand the concept of sleep. So, whoop. But anyways, I thought it'd be a cool topic. We normally, if you guys are new to this show, we normally talk a little bit about our week, and then we go through a topic of some sort that we feel would benefit people. But I wanted to talk about position sizing. Kind of goes hand in hand to the feeling of FOMO or any of that. So I'll tell you guys kind of my thoughts on it, and then I'd love to hear how you guys kind of make those decisions as well. And if you guys just say based on data, you're out. I'm gonna kick you off this call. Don't say that. I could just see John would look at the data. No, bro, get out of here. So my thoughts on it. Then I'll go. Josh, John, Tara. My thoughts on it is most people probably don't get this right. Most people really struggle with position sizing. I see a lot of the times it's just as dangerous to go too much, but it's also as dangerous to go too few. I see people in our leaderboard that constantly are posting $40, $50 win. I know immediately they're trading one contract. I think there's some wisdom in that, but I think for the most part, we're being way too cautious. There's got to be this middle ground. And I think a lot of people that pendulum will swing way too far in either direction. So how I look at this, how I look at position sizing, we have the box. We can kind of know what we're risking on the trade. But how I look at it is if I am up, I will look at it as how much of that would I be willing to give back. That's how I position size. If I'm up $500, I'm probably willing to give back 200 of it. If I'm up $1,000, I'm probably willing to give up 300 or 400 of it. Now we have a high win rate, so it's like I'm betting a little bit with the data on that.
Data.
But nope, no data. I'm betting on the numbers. The numbers. So I look at it more so of what am I, because winning isn't the problem. We have a high win rate. We're profitable. It's not that. It's how much am I willing to give back? And that is how I position size. And sometimes, like if you look at the beginning of the week, we don't have a whole lot of profit necessarily, especially if it's the first week of the first month. Like we're about to come into the first week of May. We don't really have a whole heck of a lot. So I kind of build it up, and then I'm like, all right, now that I've built it up a little bit, what am I willing to give back? Josh, how do you kind of make those decisions? We get the box, we see the range. How do you kind of determine that?
I mean, almost the exact same as you. I can't really expand on it much more than that.
That's a cop out, dude.
Yeah, I know. Typically, like coming into a new month, I'm going to be a bit more conservative. I want to build up a little bit of a buffer for myself where, I have the freedom to, if I see a higher probability trade or setup, hey, I have the wiggle room to be a little bit more aggressive here or just roll back. I've already built up the buffer. I've hit a decent profit target. I don't need to take as many contracts on this trade because I'm already at XYZ profit. A lot of that, I know, John, you have a really good spreadsheet for our newer traders on, how to look for risk to reward or your position sizing. For me, I'm at a point where it's a little bit more gut based just because I've taken this exact same trade thousands upon thousands of times. And I'm just looking at previous price action to see, hey, based on this, I'm expecting quite a bit of continuation in the direction that we break. So I'm going to look to be a little heavier on this position, or we're consolidated and there hasn't been a lot of movement. Odds are we may get a wick to our take profit, but there's probably not going to be a massive movement. So maybe I need a lower position and just, take full profit at our TP1 target.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting things there that I'm going to point out. We won't go into them very much, but a couple interesting things. You talked about your gut. Guys, if you're new, that has to be developed. You don't just wake up with good discernment in trading. It's practiced. I don't think you can learn it. And you definitely can't get it without practice, for sure. So Josh has been trading this strategy for a lot longer than most people. The longer you do it, obviously you get more data, but you also you kind of train muscle memory a little bit. Like, oh, I've seen this trade 100 times. I've seen this trade 50 times, whatever it might be. That's really interesting. The other thing, you kind of alluded to it, but This is more of an advanced topic that we'll cover on a different call, but you alluded to it. Sometimes we have multiple things stacked in our favor. So the break of the box is one of them. There's a couple other things that we can use, and John, Tara, you guys probably know what some of those are. But sometimes we'll get like 3 out of 3 things are showing us we're going to go long. So if we get a break to the upside, we feel a little bit more confident because we have other things that are also kind of impacting our decision. So those are really interesting. And I think if you're watching live or the replay, I think those are things that keep in the back of your mind. You're going to get more discernment the more you do this. And sometimes we can stack multiple indicators that we're going to be, not like an indicator on TradingView indicator, but indications, is what I should have said, that, hey, we're going to be going long or short.
Reps, baby.
Reps. John, how do you, I mean, you have a spreadsheet as well, but kind of how do you make that decision in like real time? So the box paints, you see it's 150 ticks, whatever. How are you making that decision in real time? Or are you making it before the call?
I make it before. So I'm very I'm getting to the discernment part, right? So I get that part too. Like that is a thing. But in the beginning, I had to, because I'm the guy to walk in a casino and like throw down my credit card and try to beat. That's just my nature, right? And I know this about myself, which it's know thyself, right? So I had to make myself some math rules, and so my math rule in the beginning was just don't risk more than 10%. It means I can lose 10 times in a row. That I'm a simple man. That makes sense to me, right? And you can just do that. Just take 10%, risk that every time, right? It could be that simple. But later on, you start to, like you were saying, you take the same trade all the time. I'm there every morning. I'm there every evening. It's 2 times a day. You know, that's a lot of trades over a short period of time, and you kind of start to see it. And then I kind of lean on Josh's experience, and I'll lean on Jordan's experience, and what Tara has to say, even, right? Like she's been doing it a while, and like, okay, here's some other things that I could add on to that later, right? So I'm getting to the later part where I can start adding on some of those things. So I would say go slow about it, but you can just like do simple math. Just make it so you don't.
But you said 10%, right?
I started with 10%. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. And somebody brought this up in the challenge this week. They're like, well, do you guys abide by the 1% rule? Which is basically don't risk more than 1%. Well, you're 10x that. But what I'm going to say why I think that is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're starting to get more and more of that discernment. So based on like the data that we do have, dude, losing 10 times in a row, I don't think we've ever lost 10 times in a row.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I'd have to like go check the data, but
and that's like way over conservative, by the way. Like you're not going to lose 10 times in a row. It's just not going to happen. Not with this strategy.
Is that 10%? Hold on. Is that 10% of like your max allotment? Like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by 10%?
Got it. So
you trade props.
I'm trading prop firms. So I'm looking at what's the max drawdown. So for example, if I'm on a 50K, typically it's a 2,000 max drawdown. So that equates to $200. You just divide it by 10. So that's 10%. So I'm risking $200 every time, but because of the strategy, the box is a different size every time. So $200 isn't always the same number of ticks, which means it isn't always the same number of contracts, right? So I'm just translating $200 to how many contracts is that for today.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm cool. Like I don't have to worry about it. It's not my nest egg. It's it's easy sailing at that point.
I get really concerned. Like 10% to me makes a lot of sense, but 1% does not make sense to me. Maybe if you're on a cash account, but I get really concerned when people blindly were like, I will always only risk 1%. What if you have a 99% win rate and there's 7 things telling you that we're going long? You're still going to only do 1? Like that never made sense to me. And I don't know, maybe it's just how my brain works, but 10% does make sense to me. And you could even play around with that a little bit with the data that we have. Like you said, it's probably conservative. That's interesting. Tara, do you do anything different than myself, John, Josh? They're pretty consistent.
it's kind of the same, but a little bit different. I definitely love that spreadsheet. Like, I don't want to have to like stress out and do math in my head. Like, so my account balance, what my drawdown is, it tells me what I put in the tick box, and then it tells me how many contracts that I have for that session. So I can literally manage it on the fly, or like as it happens. But the other aspect of it is I'm going to go back to the first 2 weeks of this month were really bad trading weeks because we had all of that war stuff and craziness. But I think that spreadsheet actually saved me, one, because it kept my risk in manageable so that we didn't ever blow any accounts, but it also keeps your mind in check because a lot of people they'll lose one, and then the next time they want to drop their amount that they're trading because they lost something. But you have to keep your mind in consistency, because if you lose more and then you risk less to win for the next one, you don't balance out. You're actually at a loss. So it really keeps the consistency is really the key of like, all right, this is what I'm going to do based on these rules, because my mind's going to get in the way for the rest of it.
Well, I think what people want, and this doesn't exist, by the way. This is a myth. This is a fable. What people want is, Tara, Josh, John, Jordan, just tell me exactly what to do every day. And what they mean by that is like, I want one thing, and that parameter is going to apply to every single day. That is not how the market works. Like that, you can't. Different seasons have different, we talked about this earlier in the community. Different seasons are going to have different volume and they're going to act differently and react differently. And I guarantee you guys, when we get done with the conflict overseas, the market will change a little bit. And like, there's not a one size fits all where every day of every season, this will exactly be it. But people want that. And if somebody, for those of you guys that are listening live, if somebody ever promises you that, I personally would run the other way. It's not reality. The NASDAQ is not the same today as it was a year ago. It's just not. Josh, you alluded to it earlier. I mean, we're all-time highs, and like, not only that, like we've been like all-time high after all. Like it's like almost like every other day is an all-time high. You know, it was not like that a year ago. So there's that. A couple questions though we had in the chat. How many props are you guys using, if any? I'm normally like around 5. I normally will use, now for clarity, this is when I am able to trade and not like doing a 5-day challenge. I like to trade on Trade of 8, and I will normally use their group copy trading feature that's in Trade of 8. But I normally have 5. Right now, a lot of those are with Take Profit Trader. I do think I like, because I have a Tradeify account as well. I think I like the Tradeify account a little bit better. But for me, 5. Josh, how many do you normally trade at a time?
I mean, I'll only trade one individual prop at a time, but I have multiple prop firms that I use. So I have about 5 different prop firms that I use across the board for different specific reasons. But my number one right now is Tradeify.
But you're not. I want to clarify this because you confused me, and I don't know if I'm just like brain dead because it's been a long week. So you're saying that you don't copy to all of them, or you do copy to all of them?
So I will only trade my accounts on one individual prop firm at a time. That prop firm may have 3 to 5 different accounts within it, but I'm not trading my Tradeify props at the same time that I'm trading my Take Profit Trader props.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like if you got 3 with Tradeify, you're trading to all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tara, John, you guys doing multiple at a time, one at a time? How do you guys do that?
I only have one currently because I was still just trying to get my feet wet and figure this stuff out. Yeah. But it is a new month, so I am actually going to add a second one now for May. So then that'll be 2 that I'll copy together.
Yeah, John?
I'm just trading one prop firm currently, but I have 5 accounts with them, which is the max. So I'm going to have to shop next month. So that's part of my business plan, is to add one every month. So
I should have clarified that question. It's how many accounts, not different.
yeah, accounts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I think for a lot of people in our community, it's kind of 2 to 5. We'll get an outlier that's like, I got 22. That seems a bit excessive. I do notice, and I'm sure you guys do as well. If I have multiple, my brain changes a little bit because it's no longer I made 250. It's I made 250 times 5. And like that to me is like that removes FOMO from me because I'm not necessarily trying to hit a home run with one account. I'm hitting base hits across multiple accounts. It makes a big difference. And then Viv said for me that is 1 to 2 losses. I, it's been long enough that I don't remember what that was in reference to. If you're positioning, I want to answer this as if you meant your position sizing. If you're positioning yourself where you can do only 1 to 2 losses, I don't know if that's what you meant, but if that is what you meant, I would give yourself more room, give yourself more grace. With what we do, we normally, at minimum, account for 2 losses in a row, but there's also multiple sessions a day. So you can't just do 2 losses in a row. It needs to almost be like 4 because we trade multiple sessions. And then if you trade all 3 sessions, it's almost like you need to account for 6. So that's why, like, John, I think you said like 10 losses in a row. To me, that makes a little bit more like sense just with the different sessions that we trade. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I'm trading 2 sessions a day. So
Yeah,
that's where
perfect.
that comes from.
And then the question about the spreadsheet, it's on Discord in the EAT section, the membership section for EAT. It is pinned. So I'm curious, guys, outside of maybe just fear, why would somebody just go in with one contract? Like the data doesn't support it. It just doesn't. And I love the conservativeness about that because I'm a very conservative dude politically and in my trading. But outside of just being afraid, can you guys think of any like logical reason why we would just do one contract? Like, and for clarity, to preface this, you can't do a runner, you can't scale out, etc. What do you guys think?
I don't think there's a logical reason unless maybe it's like your second trade after you lost one and you only have a few to wiggle with. But realistically, the risk to reward, if you're only doing one contract, you might win some, but then when you lose worse and you're spending time catching up. That's really why I don't do only one, because you end up having to play catch up. Your one trade could lose and break out like 3 days worth of wins.
Yeah, yeah. John, Josh.
I think fear is like the high level answer. To go a level deeper, I mean, I'd say it's a lack of clarity on the strategy, which is a leads to a lack of confidence. The visible symptom that you see there is then fear. So if you don't understand the strategy that you're trading, you don't have clarity on what's going to happen based on the numbers, you don't have confidence to just let that trade play out. You're scared to just do what the numbers are telling you to do.
You said something that you probably didn't even realize how profound it is because you're a redneck like me and we're not like super intelligent. Like, sorry to lump you in that group.
Dude, I'm so smart.
That's so smart. You said something really interesting. You said manifested as. So yeah, like fear is what we see, but that's not the root. There's always a root than what you see. So the root is probably a lack of confidence or a lack of understanding, and then it manifests as fear. So that's a really like you guys can mull on that all weekend.
Somebody write it down.
Like when I talk to somebody and like they're really mad, the mad is like the end result. It's not the root, right? Or they have trust issues. Well, there's a root to that. But yeah, I think lack of confidence or lack of belief in the strategy is a huge catalyst for fear. And for a lot of you guys, it's just going to take time. You know, like remember, guys, at the beginning of the month, remember how many calls I had to do about like, hey, it won't always be like this. Hey, proper expectations were at war. Remember, like all of that, and like I had to put out videos, and then I had to literally build this data aggregator to show people. That was a root cause, sub cause, manifesting as problem for the community. Guess what, guys? The month got better. Guess what? It wasn't always a bad. The bad week didn't turn into a bad month. To this day, we still haven't had a losing month. Now we've had tough times. We've had tough weeks. You know, I think it was like we had 7 trades towards the beginning of the month where we lost them because of Truth Social. It won't
Yeah.
always be like that. You know, it's not. That's not how it is forever. And I think that's a good reminder. The other good reminder. So that's the negative. It won't always be negative. The other side of that coin where people lose their mind is when it's going really well. Oh my gosh, we've won 17 trades in a row. We'll never lose. I'm going to go max position. It won't always be good. So if you're in the valley, remember the mountaintop. And if you're at the mountaintop, remember the valley. Because with trading, you can go from one to the other really quickly. You just can. I mean, again, the 2 or 3 weeks prior to that bad week, we were on top of the mountain. And people forgot what the valley felt like. Then when they got into the valley 3 weeks ago, they forgot what the top of the mountain felt like. Woo! With that, probably a good place to stop for the day. Any other questions, real quick? You guys have had some really good feedback in the chat.
Can I give you one? I know you're trying to end it, but one more for the reason why you might go one. It might be that you have $1,000 and you're trading a live account. Like maybe the better use of that $1,000 is like get a few props, right? Throw $200 in it and get a few props, and then you've got more to work with, and you can actually get somewhere. I mean, sometimes it's just a thing. I mean, it's not always fear. Well, it is fear because you only got the $1,000, but there is a truth to that. You know, there's a valid reason that you might not be there for that reason. So I want to just point that out. Like
so with the
allocate resources, you know,
the requirements on MNQ, I think you got to have like 250, $300 to place one micro trade. So if you lose a trade or two, like you can really be in hot water quickly. I fully agree with what you just said. If you guys have like 1,000 or less, don't do a cash account. Go if you're just like, I've allocated $1,000 for my trading. Well, first of all, don't allocate all of it at one time. That's redonkulous. Allocate $200. Get a couple props. But John, you nailed it. Like it makes no logical sense to have $1,000 in a trading account for MNQ because you need 250 to place one micro. It just doesn't make any sense. It does make sense to take that 1,000 if you've allocated it for your business. Take that and then just say, hey, this is going to cover me for a couple months, like 3 months on props. You know, I'm going to buy 2. I'm just going to anticipate that I'm not great at trading yet. I might fail them. I'll do it again. That's the way to do it, John, for sure. Like you nailed that. Brian said, I need 2 months of mountain to pass and build a buffer. Could be. And Brian, Brian's in Feast, right, Josh?
Indeed.
Okay.
Just talked about this a little bit more this morning.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. 2 months of mountain. The reality of that happening. So really what we're saying is 2 months of perfect trading conditions, probably fairly rare, probably a little bit rare. But it never works out like 2 months of good, 2 months of bad. It never works out. It's 2 weeks good, mediocre, bad week, 3 good, 1 bad, 2 mediocre. There's always a different mix. And then it comes down to how do you survive the bad, mediocre, break even. Nothing wrong with break even, Terry. You said that earlier. If it's a 0, 0 is not a negative number. It's just a number. So how do you survive the mediocre's fine, break even? How do you survive the bad? And that's really where self-awareness comes in. Guys, you should know pretty quickly in the week if it's a good week, bad week, mediocre week. Out of 4, we say this all the time. Out of 4, you're gonna have a great week, a bad week, and 2 mediocre. It seems like that's always the pattern. Now, in what order? Couldn't tell you. You're gonna have a great week. You're gonna have a bad week. 2 mediocre. Mediocre gonna be break even. Bad week, if you can survive that, you're good. You've won the month. Real J Tron. Josh said Tradeify. Cool. Anything else? Any other questions? I think we're caught up on the chat, guys. I appreciate you. I'm gonna throw this up on the screen real quick in case you guys are not doing the things. There's a phone number down at the bottom that goes directly to our team. So if you guys want to talk about something, we'd encourage you to do that. We do have some additional live challenges coming up here for the month of May. We're going to determine if we're doing 1 or 2. But if you guys can join us, if you guys are new to us, or if you guys can join us, that'd be phenomenal. If you guys are in the community, enjoy the weekend, maybe do a little bit of back testing, but it'll be I feel really good about May. I think we're going to get done with the conflict overseas. I think we're right there. Now, I've said that, Josh, the last 4 weeks in a row, but this time I mean it. I really mean it this time. Josh, you want to close this out?
Well, you want me to throw something in here or just say goodbye?
So close this out means like say something.
Yes. So
say something and then say goodbye.
Man, you're putting me on the spot here. I wasn't prepared for this. Good things come to those who wait and are patient, but sometimes you got to go out and grab life by the
terrible
horns,
job.
horns.
By the horns, and make it happen for yourself. So do that, and yeah, I got to work on my outros, I guess.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you guys do that. It helps the channel, helps us reach more people. If you guys want to join the challenge, that number we threw up is good. Thanks for tuning in. Have a phenomenal weekend. Be blessed, guys. And we'll catch you next week, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's the outro.
You did so much better than